Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. So my name is Frances Sadi, and I am the Associate Director of Non-Degree Programs here at Brown University's School of Professional Studies. And if you are joining us here today, this is an information session on our Leader as Coach or Leader as Coach course offering, a program that I had the privilege of taking part in this past spring. And it was really truly a valuable and impactful learning experience, one that continues to shape how I lead and collaborate pretty much every day. And I have a few individuals on my team that I recommended the course to, and they're going through it right now as well. So highly recommend it. The tools and mindset that I gained in that program have really become integral to my work here at Brown, and I will make sure to share a bit more about that as I go through the session. So today's info session will be brief. I will present for about 20 to 25 minutes on the program, and then we can open it up for questions. So please do feel free to submit any questions you have using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And you can also add comments throughout the talk, and I'll do my best to get to them all by the end. So today's talk is being recorded, so I'll send out an email with a link to the recording. It'll go out sometime later this week. So with that, we'll get started. I'll share my screen. Okay. So our mission here at the School of Professional Studies is to inspire and prepare graduate and professional level learners such as yourself with the skills that you need in order to transform the way the world works for good. So today, work and life feel more interconnected than ever. While this can be rewarding, it also means that burnout and disengagement are at an all-time high. And that is why effective leadership, one that connects people in a meaningful way, is really so essential. So I imagine many of you are here today because you're looking to lead with impact. And I am excited to say that the Leader as Coach program is here to help you develop those skills. So if you visit our website, you'll see that we offer a wide variety of programs ranging from master's degrees to certificate programs to short courses, such as Leader as Coach. And these programs are all intentionally designed with today's modern workforce needs in mind. They're flexible, fitting into your busy schedule while also offering today's most in-demand skills. Today, I'm especially excited to share more about the Leader as Coach program, as it remains one of our most popular and impactful courses. But first, I just want to start by setting some context for why coaching is such a powerful approach to leadership. So if you're like me, your initial associations of the word coach may have gone immediately to the world of sports, or perhaps thinking of a life coach, someone cheering you on. However, coaching is so much more. So research shows that coaching is one of the few leadership styles that can actually both boost engagement and drive results, two areas that really are critical in today's complex work environment. So I love this slide. So as you can see, this is a graphic that lays out the many challenges workers face in today's modern workforce. I think it does an incredible job of illustrating just how challenging it is to be both a productive and an engaged worker. So I'm just going to walk through a few of the images here, starting with just the constant demand for results. It feels like just when you've hit one benchmark, you look up to find that the goalpost has been moved and you have to kind of start all over again. We're also living in an age of constant connectivity, which means it's never easy just to walk away from work. I am guilty of this all of the time, where both my kids, my partner, my dogs are often looking at me, and there's a screen on my lap, and it's just hard to connect. It's hard to unplug when it feels like you can just get a little bit more done, or that there are competing demands always there to address. And it's not just that. Projects and problems that need troubleshooting really have a way of like permeating not just our personal lives, but even our ability to sit and produce deep work without getting distracted or pulled away. And Yeah, distractions abound, and many of us are just left feeling kind of ping-ponged around with a sense of very little agency when it comes to the work that we do. Looking next, we live in an age of information overload, where sorting through data and opinions really can be exhausting and disorienting. It's like drinking from a fire hose of information. You have to wade through disinformation, misinformation, and even a wealth of interesting and valid data that is out there. It's just so much of it that it can feel impossible. Not only that, but our world and our workforce is becoming increasingly complex and it's ever evolving. There are now more generations in the workforce than ever before. And I read recently that Gen Z has officially overtaken boomers in the workforce. So navigating all of the cultural differences and implications that has can also be challenging. And then I think this next statistic is really most striking, one of the most striking parts of this slide. So every year, Gallup conducts a survey of employees all across the United States. And for the last several years, this number really has remained largely the same. I believe just recently it came from 70 down to 68, but still around 68 to 70% of workers report being disengaged at work, which is huge because disengaged workers are more likely to be unproductive, unhappy, and more likely to leave the organization. So, whether you're here because you want a more engaged and motivated team, or you're trying to focus on achieving better outcomes, I truly believe that coaching is actually one of the few competencies that has been found to achieve both of those outcomes in equal measure, which is pretty powerful. And the benefits of being a coach like leader have been empirically proven to have benefits really at two levels. So the first level is that it benefits you personally. So for example, when you are a more coach-like leader, you're better able to manage change for yourself. Data shows that emotional intelligence goes up and that you become a more effective worker. And not only that, but you are better able to get a broader perspective, which is really key for many of us who are used to being kind of more directive leaders, myself included. Um, Being able to gain more perspective, it really means that we're ultimately, so under the directive leadership, you're ultimately kind of only tapping into the knowledge and resources and expertise of one individual, which is ourselves, which is kind of leaving, it's just a little bit of a short-sighted perspective. Whereas like if you can adapt a coach-like leadership model, you're able to tap into the wealth of perspectives of your team and the broader organization and make a kind of more a balanced, innovative decisions. And it also takes the weight off of having to do all of that by yourself as well. All right, let's see. In addition to having that personal level of benefit, there are also proven benefits of being a coach-like leader to your team and your organizations. So coaching helps you build trust, balance relationships with results, retain talent, and improve influence within your organization, both vertically, both up and down. So in fact, PwC report found that the mean return on investment on executive coaching is 7 times the initial investment, which is very few leadership programs are anywhere close to that number. So it's quite striking. So we've laid a little bit of groundwork about why coaching matters. So now let's explore how the Leader as Coach program here at Brown can actually help you build and strengthen these coaching competencies. And I'll also go through the logistics and details. So we offer the program in 2 formats, both in person and online. And the idea behind this is that it really allows you kind of to be able to choose your own adventure, so to speak, selecting the option that works best for you based off of your own learning style, your needs, as well as what logistically might work best. So we have an in-person offering that is a 3-day intensive experience offered here at Brown University on our Providence, Rhode Island campus. The delivery mode is This delivery mode is really ideal for anyone who's looking for a more immersive experience, and that is the one that I did this past spring. And then alternatively, we also offer a online option which consists of 7 weekly sessions held. You typically are scheduled for Tuesday evenings, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this format really allows for more of an expansive approach, a more gradual approach with consistent opportunities to kind of apply what you're learning as you go. So the dates and information, this is all online, but I will walk through a more detailed schedule with you now. But one thing I like to always point out is that whether you choose the in-person offering or the online offering, the actual content of the course is the same. It's really just the delivery and the experience of the engagement with the content that is different. Okay, so here's the in-person schedule. The online, we always offer these programs twice a year, so the spring and then the fall. Our fall online program already started, so the next opportunity to take this course will be our in-person offering, which starts up in a few weeks. It runs Wednesday, October 15th through Friday, October 17th, and they're pretty rich full days. So you start at 8:30 a.m. and finish by 4 p.m. And because so much is packed into that experience, there's not a lot of pre and post work that would be required for the course. A lot of that is integrated into the actual time together. So some advantages or uh, some things that stand out about the in-person offering. I ultimately chose the offering because one, it was convenient. I'm here in the office, so it was a short commute, if you will. But we did have people from all around the country who flew in and joined us for this in-person session. And one of the nice things is about being in a live cohort. It's small, so you get to know everyone there, but it's large enough that you really have an opportunity to work. They shuffle us all around and you work in different small groups and be able to do a lot of role playing. And I just found that really stimulating and exciting. It's facilitated always by 2 faculty who are experts in the field. And one of the things I love, so in my class, one of the instructors, her background was as a licensed therapist, social worker and therapist, and then got into coaching later. And then the other individual teaching the course is actually an emergency medicine physician and educator. And so it was really helpful to see that while the actual mechanisms and approach to coaching were the skills that they were modeling for us were the same, their approach was extremely different. And so it was just very helpful to see modeled in different ways. And then it's very applied. So as I mentioned, we would do a lot of breakouts where we would get into groups of 2 or groups of 3, and then we would be practicing what we just learned. So it's a great learning model for retention, to be able to practice immediately what you're learning and kind of work out the kinks, and also be able to own it and find your own authentic approach to this method. So for the online offering, as I mentioned, the fall course already started. So the next offering is going to start up in March. So March 3rd through April 14th, 2 hours on Tuesday evenings, 5 to 7 p.m. And it runs for 7 weeks. So because this is in a more expanded format, it's nice because you can join online. Again, would be taught by 2 instructors who are experts in the field, but it's easy if your schedule doesn't allow you to travel and be in person, you can join from anywhere on Zoom. This format does have a little bit more pre-post work in between the sessions because you're showing up once a week. This is nice for anyone who feels like their learning style, you do need a little bit more time to digest the information. It stretches it out. You get to take in the information and then practice it a little bit throughout the week and then join again the next week. Okay, so a little bit about the topics covered. So the course consists of 7 modules, each designed to build your coaching skills, and it's very thoughtfully crafted and delivered. So the first module is Coaching Foundations. This is where you'll learn why coaching matters and how to create safety and trust within your team. You'll also learn the differences between coaching and mentoring and be able to begin a coaching mindset to get ready for the rest of the program. And we kind of kept returning to the content that we learned in this foundations unit. We returned to quite a bit, particularly around just being able to kind of identify and also navigate a conversation around what is the purpose of this conversation? What are you hoping to get out of this conversation? Because it's not that mentoring is better or worse than coaching, but knowing ahead of time what approach you want to take, or if you want to take a blended approach, and being able to work with the individual you're engaging with and having kind of a transparent conversation around what your intentions are. Even just figuring out how to do that, it was hugely eye-opening for me and very helpful. And a lot of the my cohort, individuals in the cohort reported a similar experience. Okay, so module 2 is active listening and questioning, and this is where you will develop the skills to truly listen and ask questions that drive deeper understanding. And yeah, the art of question asking there. This is where practicing really paid off, because I just became so aware of, I mean, I guess I was aware already, but the practicing helped me move away from those old habits, but that it's very easy to get into a habit of asking more close-ended questions, yes, no, or with good intentions, but often kind of in talking with individuals, not really being an active listener, but more kind of directing it back to kind of self-referential talk. Whereas in coaching, really being others-centered, find through uh, using good questions is a great way to find out more about what an individual is experiencing, what their actual needs are in that moment. So you're not assuming anything. So this was a really helpful module for myself. Okay. So module 3, you're going to learn concrete coaching skills and begin to master structure of a coach-like conversation. And then by module 4, you're invited to take a step back and think about your values and your purpose. And in doing so, be able to make sure that when you are coaching, you are grounded in those values. So both your personal values, but also what are the stated values of your organization, keeping your job description in mind as you are going about your work and in interacting with your teams. All of this is really helpful information, because we can get into this kind of reactive mode, or as I mentioned before, because there are so many competing demands and distractions abound, really being able to develop more agency and in our choices around what we want to put our attention on, rather than kind of going ping-ponging around and kind of getting through the end of the day, having checked off boxes, but maybe things that weren't as important, and not as grounded in the values of how you want to live your life. Okay. And so this is kind of paired with it, but module 5 is called Reactive to Creative, and it focuses on recognizing when we are in that survival mode and how to shift away from being reactive to being in a more creative problem-solving space. So really not through any fault of our own, but many of us often find ourselves operating in the workplace in kind of a constant fight or flight mode, either because we've got too much on our plate or we're struggling really to align our priorities with the reality of what we're dealing with. And so, yeah, often we do feel like we're just kind of just trying to get through the day by day. And it feels good to check off the items on our to-do list, and often check off the ones that are easy and the ones that feel good, and some of the ones that may be a little bit more layered or challenging can kind of get pushed aside. So there's just real value in being able to name this reality, learn about it, and then be able to work together in a safe space on strategies to get out of being reactive to being having more agency and being in a more creative problem-solving mode. And then you add the layer of when you're dealing with teams and difficult personalities, where there's layers of emotions and different competing needs. it's really important that you also, through the coach-like leadership model in engaging in conversation with your team members, be able to also help other individuals get out of that reactive space themselves and be in a more creative space and mindset. Okay. And then the last two modules will focus on sustainment, application, and integration, which really allows students to practice and embed these skills through real-life applications. And this is really done intentionally. Something that's really, I think, is really unique about the way that this program is taught here at Brown is that it's an incredibly participatory program. So throughout the course, it really, from day one, it emphasizes hands-on learning. You'll participate in exercises, reflections, you're given a workbook, and you're really asked to engage in real world practice sessions. You can bring your own problems into these role plays, or you can make things up, but you, from day one, as I said, you're actually learning skills and then practicing, learning skills and practicing, and you're getting feedback from your peers and from the instructors right away, which I found a little scary, but also very helpful because it is such a safe and intimate environment where they do a lot to create that safe space. And then you see a lot of growth that happens in the short time because of that. Okay, so a bit about the outcomes. By the end of the program, you'll have developed multi-dimensional leadership skills suited for today's complex, ever-changing workplace, the ability to foster meaningful interactions and trust, techniques to empower and motivate your team, as well as strategies for navigating complexity with clarity and confidence. So here are the registration deadlines. So for the in-person offering, as I mentioned, it does start up in a couple of weeks. So our deadline is next, I believe that's next Wednesday, October 8th. And then the online program, the deadline is February 25th, and the program starts up in March. And then we will also have an in-person offering, I believe, in April, mid-April. So that will be put on our registration website soon. As soon as the fall cohort starts up, we put up our spring dates as well. The enrollment process itself is meant to really be short and accessible, so you're not going to have to pull transcripts or letters of recommendation or anything like that. You just fill out a little bit of information about yourself, and then you can submit it, and you'll be into the program. For when it comes to the cost, we do have a tuition assistance application for individuals that if that is something of interest, but we also highly recommend looking into whether or not your organization offers professional development. Often a course like this would qualify, and so it's worth looking into that. We actually have on our website a templated letter that you could use and give to your employer, where it outlines kind of what the course is about and what the learning objectives are. So it's really easy to fill that out, submit it to your company, and see if it might qualify for professional development. I think that's it on my end. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can shift over and open it up for questions. I see that there's some already, so thank you. And then happy to end early if there's not too much on your end for questions. As I said, this is being recorded, so we'll send out an email. So if you want to revisit it later for looking up some of the details, feel free to. Okay. So I do see a question here about offering discounts for current Brown students or alumni. Yes, so we do have an alumni discount that we can offer. And so let me put into the chat our email address so you can email us and find out how to fill that out. execution@brown.edu. And then let me also drop the link to our program website and find out more about the course here, including the registration link. I see a question from Dave. Thanks. It says, "Are there any discounts on pricing if we enroll multiple participants?" So we do have a group discount. I believe it's 10% if you enroll 10 or more. So you could, and that's listed on the registration website. So you could definitely check that out. Um, and then I also said we sometimes we have employers, they want to send multiple individuals, and sometimes it's easier if the employer is paying directly. Reach out to us, because one thing we can do is basically our administrator here can coordinate the payment on our end with you, and then we can set up a kind of a group enrollment process, so that your employees can kind of register without having to worry about the payment on their end. Great. So Nathan asks, what time of year would you typically hold the in-person sessions in 2026? So I can actually just look that up for you, Nathan, real quick. I believe it's in April, but let me see. LSE 2026 dates. Mm, Yep. So right here, I've got it. So next year, the in-person offering is going to be Wednesday, April 15th through Friday, April 17th. And it's the same times, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I anticipate that those dates will become available for registration by mid-October, if not sooner. All right, let's see. Are the online classes, Lori asks, are the online classes recorded in the event that you can't make one of those nights? So yes, I do believe that they are recorded and are made available to individuals. Of course, live attendance is preferred, and I know our faculty also are available if you do need to meet with them, if you have questions or if you want to get caught up on something. But they do ask that you try to attend as many of the 7 sessions as possible, largely too because you do spend so much time practicing and working in breakout groups that you really are missing out on a huge part of the program itself, with each session that you miss. But that being said, certainly life happens, or if you know you'll be traveling or away, understand if you miss 1 or 2, that happens. Okay. How are the modules divided between the 3 days of the in-person session? That is a great question, and I could certainly find out for you. And if my memory wasn't so horrible, I could give you the exact details. I I don't know exactly where the cutoff is for the 3 days, but I do think, one, it didn't feel overwhelming. It felt nicely spaced out. Everything about this program is really well thought out in the delivery, and then the learner's experience is kept at the forefront in the design. So I want to say it's like pretty equally spread out with the 7 modules, and there was always enough time to do a lot of practicing in between the modules. So, and then I know one of the assignments they do give, both for the online cohort and an in-person cohort, is to actually, towards the end of the program, find someone in your life that's willing to engage in a 30-minute coach-like conversation, so that you get to actually practice all of the skills that you've been learning and practicing, and do it in a more sustained format. And so that could be a stranger that you just met, and you, if you're feeling brave and want to engage in a conversation with them, or someone, a family member or a friend or coworker, that's fine as well. So that's between, for the in-person, it's right before the 3rd session. You try to fit that conversation in. Okay. Any other questions before we sign off? And yeah, so if anything comes up, feel free to email us directly at that email address that I put there. But otherwise, look for an email from us in a couple of days with the record the link to the recording, as well as some additional information about the program. There will also be a discount code offered there, a 10% discount code for just attending the webinar. So we appreciate you being here with us today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.